What's up, everyone? David here. As promised, here's the one-on-one template that I use with my teams. Before we get into it, here's kind of the high-level template of what it is. But before we dive into what the logic is behind each of these things, let me just give you some high-level context. All right. So, what is the purpose of the one-on-one? This is really a chance for you to sync up with your team, and the objective here is just to get aligned on as many things as possible. As a manager, one of your jobs is to make sure that you're getting like high performance from your team. And you're just not going to be able to do that if you're not aligned or there's huge communication gaps or understanding gaps and you guys just view reality differently. So the one-on-one as a manager is a tool for you to make sure that you guys see things the same way. You're aligned on the right priorities. You kind of understand what's going on in their lives because, you should think of them as humans, right? And if there's something that's bothering them in their personal life, inevitably that's going to affect them in their work life. And so as much as your direct report is comfortable sharing with you, you should at least know what's kind of going on there, in addition to, of course, just caring with them that has some impact on their work life, which is why it's important to find a forum to raise those things. And a one-on-one is a great opportunity for that. All right, before I jump in here, a couple more things. So who is this well suited for, this type of template? I think this is good for people who lead execution teams. So if you're a marketing manager who oversees other people who do marketing, or if you're a more senior person and maybe you oversee other managers, as long as you are fairly close to the level of execution, I think this template is going to work. Who it's not going to work for, and based on my own experience, this is not really going to work for communicating upwards to senior executives or to other senior management, just because it's unlikely that you have such a regular cadence with them that you can get through all of these in a meaningful, productive manner. Usually those things are kind of all over the place, or you just want to reserve your attention with them for one specific thing. So I would reserve this just to speak to your direct team. And also, I'm not sure it would be the best use for cross-team. So if you're a marketing person that you work with a sales leader, this may be a bit too much for you, like too much in the weeds, because like, again, limited context, and you want to make sure you're focused cross-team on just a few things as opposed to getting into the nitty-gritty of stuff. Because as you're going to see very soon, this allows you as a manager to get into some nitty-gritty details. All right, so let's talk about the template. So it starts off with just today's date because there's an assumption here that you're doing this at some regular frequency. I like to do them once a week for at least 1 hour. Some teams, maybe that's not possible. Maybe you have to do it once every 2 weeks, but the key is you're just doing it at some regular interval. And that's why the date is important, so you can keep track of when they're happening and what was discussed during that time. You start off with an action item review because, as you'll see at the end here, you end off with to-dos and tasks. And you want to just close the loop every time you talk to your direct report, every time you do a one-on-one. All right, so you talk about those. And then the first thing I propose you jump into is just talking about what has your attention right now. So whether that's you as a manager, what are some things you're thinking about? You can be talking about anything and have some examples down below about what this could look like. But you just want to start off with getting aligned on, hey, what's on your mind? What's taking up your brain cycles? If you jump just straight into work stuff, you could have missed some important things. Maybe they had some family stuff that's happening that's really taking up a lot of their time. Maybe there's some projects they're working on that they're really having a tough time with. And so you don't want to just jump into like the priorities and KPIs. If there's some thing on their mind that is eating up all of their emotional energy or their mental energy, or, conversely, that's what the second thing is for. There's something that they're really looking forward to. So maybe they're getting married soon and they're really excited about that. They can't wait to tell everyone about it. It's important that you just don't talk about work stuff because, again, you recognize these people as humans, and it's important for you to understand, depending on how comfortable they are sharing, what else is going on outside of work. It just helps to create that bridge, create that connection to make sure that you guys are really aligned, you're thinking the same wavelength, and you have the same view of the world. So you get those out of the way, then you dive into more nitty-gritty stuff. So at this point, you've built up some momentum around talking to each other, disclosing stuff, just making sure that you're sharing and open. And so once you get into the priorities and KPIs, you have some momentum about the way you're talking, so you can dig into some deep stuff or some hard topics as needed, right? Then this is kind of an open format. So what are some things that could be improved? And this could sometimes turn into a huge rant session that, they've been wanting to tell somebody, oh, our website sucks. I hate this landing page. This other team, they're supposed to be working with me and they're not doing that. And so this is just a forum for people to say what's on their mind, and you don't want them to keep it bottled up to themselves. You, as a manager, have a responsibility to know what they're thinking, and if there's an opportunity for you to add value to, or to improve something that you have influence over, then it's something you should at least consider. Things to discuss. So in a perfect world, this part is filled in by both parties before the one-on-one happens. So what happens in the teams that I run is we have an expectation that we have this shared one-on-one document that we work on together. And before the document, before the one-on-one happens, we can fill in the document as we would like. So I can start filling stuff in even before the one-on-one is happening. So not everything has to happen during that one-on-one itself. And that's especially true for this section, things to discuss. So if there's something that we're working on that I just want to get an update on, but I don't necessarily need to walk over to the desk, I don't need to instant message them, I'll just pop it in this document and I'll bring it up at our next one-on-one. So after all of that, you should probably have a list of action items or things to be followed up on for next time. And that restarts the cycle. So the next time you do it, this one-on-one, then you have action items. All right. So here's an example of what that could look like. So imagine I have a direct report named JB, and we talked about HubSpot CRM, for example. And so we identified that was something that he needed to do. So at the beginning of the next one-on-one, we just talk about, hey, we brought up the CRM issue last time. How did that go? So maybe I might take some notes here, or he'll just give me an update on that. And then maybe I talked about interviewing a freelancer because JB said, hey, I needed some help running our ad campaigns. It's taking up way too much of my time. Can you see if we can afford a freelancer to help me do this to free up my time? So maybe I'll give an update on that. Then we would talk about some stuff that that's really top of mind. So maybe in this era of remote work, it's hard to switch off after work. And so we might have a discussion about that and reasons to be happy. So maybe JB's like, hey, you know what? One of the cool things about remote work is while I'm having trouble switching off after work, I'm walking my dog way more, which my dog loves. And, that makes me happy. So let's just talk about stuff here. And this could be as short or as long as it needs to be. Again, every one-on-one, every manager employee relationship is very unique and specific to your relationship. So this can take as much time or as little time as you need. But it's one of the reasons why I recommend one-on-ones are at least an hour long. I think an hour is the minimum that you can really use to just make sure that you get through all of these and give them the time and space that they deserve. So you do all that, priorities review. So maybe you talk about some nitty-gritty stuff here. And then you always want to have some kind of metric so it's not just disconnected from the business reality. So if this was a real one-on-one, we would probably look at some metrics. This could be a link to a dashboard. This could be a link to a spreadsheet, Google Analytics, whatever it is, or maybe a joint dashboard with a sales team. These are fake links, so just ignore that. And then we'd be talking about things to improve. So you just want to elicit as much information from your direct report here as possible. Things are not perfect. Things are never perfect. It would be weird if there was always nothing to say here every week. I mean, maybe some weeks there's really nothing, but it would be weird if like 3 one-on-ones in a row, this person is not saying anything. Then you're definitely missing something as a manager, and that's an opportunity for you to dig deeper. So things that can be improved. So what is it like working with this other person? What is it like working with the sales team or the customer success team? Tell me what you think about our product. What is stopping you from just absolutely crushing all of your goals? So there's a ton of stuff here, and there's always got to be something. It would be weird if there wasn't, and it's part of your role as a manager to bring up things that could be improved because it's going to help your performance as a manager as well. Things to discuss. So again, this is ideally filled out before the meeting. So let's just say JB was feeling like, hey, I have some issues with my comp. Can we talk about that? This is a perfect opportunity for us to have the time and space to do that. This is the kind of thing that outside of a one-on-one format, people usually wait like till their annual review to discuss this, which is, I don't know, in a good company, usually it's like twice a year. I don't know. But then if you think about that, that's crazy because then this person's emotions and all of their mental energy for this is building up over 6 months. And then it becomes this very emotional conversation that's very hard to actually be productive off of. So this is the type of thing that ideally you bring up, let's call it, at least once a month, once a week, if it's a really top of mind thing for this person. But the important part is just gives them the ability and the forum to bring up, difficult stuff like this. And then it doesn't always have to be this like crazy heavy therapy topic. Sometimes it's just, hey, I have an idea for this landing page. I need your feedback. Let me know what you think. So after all that, we're going to have some action items for next time. So maybe I'm like, hey, JB, I hear you. Let me just see what I can do. Let me chat with our HR team and I'll have an update for you the next time we meet. So that's going to give JB a lot of security and peace of mind, and it's kind of going to take it off his plate so he can focus on other stuff. And then maybe JB identified, hey, I'm not having good collaboration with the customer success team. So, hey, why don't you set up coffees with them? Let me know what they come back with. Let me know what they think. So that's it. Again, just as I mentioned before, there's no perfect one-on-one template. This is just what I've been using. I think it follows a flow of let's talk about closing the loop from last time. Let's just talk to each other as people. And that means talking about work stuff and non-work stuff if you're comfortable. Let us talk about some numbers and metrics, because the reason we're both in this company is because we're being asked to drive some sort of business result. So let's talk about how we're doing about that. What's on your mind in terms of things that can be improved or things that are going well, or if there's just anything you'd like to bring up, this is the time and space to do that. You have the freedom to do that, and you don't have to apologize for anything that's top of your mind. Just tell me. And then we always end with what's action items, so we actually have some productive energy channeled into to-dos and action items, which again, you loop into the following week's one-on-ones. All right, folks, hopefully that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. You should be able to make a copy of this if you have a Google Doc account. I think you just go to File, make a copy. Feel free to download it. Feel free to plagiarize it. Do whatever you want with it. Just shout if you have any feedback. All right, cheers. Bye.